Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan M.S. Pierce. Today on a US political update, I'm going to talk to you about Donald Trump and whether there's a bit of a turning point going on here in terms of his popularity. So last week on Tuesday, we had those elections where there was a massive blowout. The Democrats really secured a huge set of wins right across a number of different elections. And it was important they were different, not just in blue states, but across the spectrum there at different levels of election. And that could be seen as a repudiation of Trump, very much so, and a bit of a turning point in terms of the Trump administration. How do they interpret that? How does the White House interpret that? How does Trump interpret that? Now, I've long said that he is to some degree inoculated by the people around him who I think provide him with a curated information diet so that we're unsure as to quite whether he really recognizes where he sits in terms of popularity. He keeps talking about having the best polls ever when objectively they are the worst polls ever. Does he believe that he is receiving the best polls ever? And if he does believe that, if he's believing what he's saying, the alternative is that he's outright lying, which of course we know he's very good at. But he might also, in this case, believe what he's saying, which means that he is being fed a curated diet of information where there are aides that are telling him, oh, you've got this poll rating with this particular niche pollster skewed as it is to the Republican Party, et cetera, et cetera. And then he comes out and says, hey, I'm getting the best polling data ever, and actually believes that. Now, I think what I'm going to talk to you about could be an example of where the rubber hits the road, where he thinks he's much more popular than he really is. And he goes out in public and sees evidence that this is not the case. So, okay, first of all, he's not had a very great week. So let's get into it by looking at Sleepy Don. By the way, in the meantime, if you haven't liked, subscribed, and shared my videos, please do, particularly subscribing. That would be absolutely fantastic. Right, let's get into the details. Okay, so here we have Donald Trump, Dozy Don, Sleepy Don. He has spent a couple of years slagging off Joe Biden for being Sleepy Joe. And by all accounts, he broadly fell asleep for 20 minutes in the White House during a press briefing, give or take. He was kind of really struggling with sleep for 20 minutes. Now, the guy is old. This is what happens when you're old, but then questions have to be raised that is he too old to do the job? He can't stay awake in incredibly important moments. So, okay, that was part of what's happened this week. Someone fainting in the White House as well, and there's a really poor photo that came out. I think it was a really great photo, but it shows Trump in a poor light as he's just staring into the camera and completely ignoring the guy that's just fainted behind him, showing possibly that he's an uncaring president. Anyway, falling asleep, all this kind of stuff. The debates about the government shutdown and about inflation are raging on. Okay, so that is the context of what took place at an NFL game last night. Let's get into what took place last night. So he was due to read out supposed to be welcoming in, signing up sort of military personnel in this kind of speech that he makes. So some on the right are reacting to him being booed here as absolutely disgusting, because actually they should be in awe of his amazing leadership and in awe of those sort of who are to serve for the country, etc., etc. So it depends which way you spin this, but really, I think you're quite desperate if you're going down that route, because this is just a very public repudiation of Donald Trump. Now, he also can't read out what he's supposed to say properly. He's supposed to insert his name at the beginning, but he says, I think he literally reads out insert name here or something akin to that.
Welcome the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, as the President swears in the seats of our United States military.
So this is an actual live stream, and really you can barely hear him. And though there are some cheers in there, it is mainly booing. Some commenting on how dour Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, looks standing to his left in this picture. And other videos concentrating on Trump's face. They'd zoomed in on his face and shown him looking really quite unnerved by this.
Please raise your right hands. I, and state your name.
I, and state your name.
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend.
Unless, you know, he's supposed to say that because he's speaking on behalf of whoever is actually supposed to be repeating this. I don't know. I don't know the details enough.
The Constitution of the United States.
So this was pretty, I think, revealing. Does this signify a tipping point, an inflection point, really, more than a tipping point in Trump's presidency? And in case you're wondering whether that was just recorded in a particular place and wasn't representative of what was going on in the stadium, in the Washington Commanders Stadium, which is already somewhat controversial. Washington Commanders used to be the Washington Redskins, and they were renamed as a result of being somewhat controversial in terms of the appropriation of the Native American Indians. And so there have been people on the right who have been demanding that they get renamed the Washington Redskins, and then, you know, so on and so forth. This is it's interesting that this is the Washington Commanders rather than any other team, really. So loads of people, you know, thumbs down or middle fingers up. If you're going to say there are mixed reactions, it could be boos and middle fingers. Here we have him coming on, what's it called? The Jumbotron. And as soon as his face is shown, he is roundly booed. And I think it's kind of, you can't really doubt that there is this reaction to him. Here's another angle.
The Constitution of the United States. Enemies, foreign and domestic.
I think it's pretty clear to see. Here we have some different angles, different viewpoints there. Double middle finger salute, and here we have another one close up. Yeah, he doesn't look, certainly not universally popular. He doesn't look particularly popular at all in this stadium. And what this does, there are probably a lot of people in this stadium who have been conditioned to support Republicans, to support Donald Trump. This is giving a permission structure. This is a permission structure to allow people to investigate whether actually they do really support what he's doing, and to, you know, to look at people publicly around them really booing Donald Trump allows people to question their own support. I think it's possibly an important moment. This. Then there have been lots of videos zooming in on his face, seeing how it is affected by the booing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
Doesn't look particularly happy with the reaction around him. And it says that someone here says, "I regret to inform you that due to excessive booing, President Trump was forced to leave the game." I don't know if he left the game early. That'd be interesting to see. It looks here that he leaves the room. So quite possibly he does leave early. He just, he offs and goes now. That might have been always the case, where he turns up, says a piece, doesn't have the time as a president to watch an entire game of American football, which are quite long and arduous affairs. So that wouldn't surprise me that he had been due to leave anyway. Now, then we see how, say, Fox News interprets this, which is fascinating. So they spread this video, and the video is very clear, right? So he is getting booed here mercilessly. To the point you can barely hear what he says. Fox News reports President Trump speaks at Lions Commanders game as part of the NFL's salute to service. What they don't report is that he's booed. So there's clear propagandistic vibes coming out here. But actually, they still show this video. And I'm wondering if Fox News, this is me doing a bit of over analysis maybe, but Fox News wants to show this. What they want to communicate to the wider audience, that Donald Trump isn't universally popular, that he is getting massively booed at this NFL game. But they don't want to highlight that he's getting booed and get into trouble for what Trump and his super supporters might see as, doing disservice to the Trump administration. So they don't mention that at all. They're like, here he is talking at the game, and then boo, and they're like, yeah, we're just not going to attach any commentary there. We're going to be factual in saying that he is speaking at this game. You can make up your own mind as to how successful this was. Yeah, I thought that was quite telling how Fox News introduced this video on their Twitter feed. George Conway saying, well, no, okay, firstly, Johnny MAGA. So, as I said, MAGA's response to this is that they are disgusted because this should be a very respectful speech. Johnny MAGA here says, "This is the most disgraceful thing I've ever seen." Really? Commanders fans booed President Trump while he was literally enlisting troops into the United States military. Pure trash, says one supporter. George Conway, the formerly married to Kellyanne Conway, who was, I think, was a campaign manager for Trump. Indeed, the man who called out war dead suckers and losers is indeed pure trash. And the fact that he pretends to support the military is the most disgraceful thing ever. Yeah, so that's one comeback. Now, Gavin Newsom is not one to miss an opportunity. He goes to town here again with the zoomed in video of Trump's face and responding to, and then being booed, obviously. Dear Patriots, all caps here, and of course mimicking Donald Trump's own rhetoric. Dear Patriots, I, Gavin C. Newsom, want to share my favorite music with you. We've been through a lot and we have more democracy to defend. But tonight, sit back and relax to this soothing melody. I call it Concerto number 47 in Do minor. Enjoy. Love, America's Governor. Just brilliant. Okay, so is this just an opportunity for me to show some embarrassing footage of Donald Trump? No, actually, the point of me doing this is that I think there is an inflection point going on. I think that we are seeing in America this growing acceptance outside in the electorate that Donald Trump isn't doing particularly well. His poll numbers are the worst of any president at this stage in their presidency. He is absolutely tanking across every single domain topic area, even immigration. He is underwater, the economy and inflation, so on and so forth. The polls are suggesting he's in trouble. The elections on Tuesday suggest he's in trouble. Many people, and I was talking about this on my one of my videos recently on my live stream, I think it was, saying that actually I think you're seeing a turning point at the moment. The elections can be seen as the inflection point, but actually they themselves are a reflection of the previous sort of month or two. So this has been growing to a point where now it's very, I think, obvious that Trump is in a little bit of trouble. Now he's got a year, the Republicans have got a year to sort this out before the midterms. But at the moment, the direction of travel should really give the Republicans something to think about. And they, I'm sure, are going to be very scared. And they are going to be wanting to make sure that they win in November. But the question is, well, can they do that given the policy agenda they've got, which is deeply, deeply unpopular and is affecting the economy very negatively? Probably not. So how do they win the November 26 midterm elections? Well, cheating, control of the media, control of the voting mechanisms, so on and so forth. Are you going to see more of that? Are you going to see more of the rigging type of things, the gerrymandering of the districts and trying every which way to make sure that they win the elections, even if it means by breaking the law and cheating? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. One we'll certainly need to keep an eye on. But this has been a bit of a bad week, this last whole week for the Trump administration and for the Republican Party. And the commander's game last night, I think, is where the rubber hits the road for Trump himself. So he gets to see this. And this is why I've been showing you the video. This is the moment that Trump sees very clearly that he's not popular. Now, he might try and claim that George Soros has bought loads of seats in the stadium, has put paid actors there to boo him. But that would be just pure fantasy land. And surely he won't really believe that. There has to be a moment where he sees that he is not popular. What's happened in sort of Portland and places is that he's been claiming the city's burning down because of Antifa and liberal, blah, 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 blah. But, and so you can treat that differently and you can lie about Portland and do this and do that. And he hasn't gone to Portland to see that that's not the case and that maybe people are lying to him or he's misinterpreting Fox. So you have these discussions about how much he knows, how much he's been fed, blah, blah, blah. Here at the Northwest Stadium, he goes to see firsthand people booing him in a stadium full of what you would imagine would be, you know, blokes, sports fans, people of a certain demographic that would otherwise be quite supportive of Donald Trump. But here, no, he is seeing firsthand that he is deeply unpopular. Oh my goodness, how does this affect him? Does he go away from that and think, right, genuinely, we've got work to do? Or does he try and spin it and does a cognitive dissonance reduction take over? And he tries to come up with rationale as to why that took place. Very interesting, in my opinion. And I think this last week has been an inflection point for the Trump administration, for Donald Trump himself. Anyway, that's enough for me. Take care. Speak soon. Please remember to subscribe. That'd be fantastic. In the meantime, I will be putting more videos together for my usual output today. Stay tuned.